we go? I do believe we're live, so I'll say, indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here today again with me on another conscious evolution. Another opportunity for us to consider today's stream topic, which is feeling like a bad person. I think it's one of those very deep and nuanced experiences that we have as human beings. Mom asked me what I want to talk about today, and upon sharing the subject matter, she tried to impress upon me that I am not a bad person. All right. And then I don't argue with her, but I almost like defend in some way or another my own badness, you know, my own shortcomings, my own thoughts that I feel would make me a bad person if they were broadcasted at all times, right? And I feel like there is this experience, probably in all of us as human beings, where we might feel like bad people. Some astute amongst you, I hear Christian in the back of my head telling me that actually, really bad people don't consider themselves bad at all. Quite the contrary. They consider themselves infallible, and that's where a lot of the bad comes from. And I think that's in part why I want to talk about today's stream topic as well, is that considering yourself, let's not call ourselves bad. Let's call ourselves not the best, right? Allows us room, at least in my mind, for some upwards trajectory, right? Like there is something for us to do. There is room for us to grow. There is a direction for us to continue to move to. I can be very selfish, very, very selfish, especially as it relates to my own will, right? My own wants, my own way of seeing the world and the way that I believe things ought to be, right? In so many words. And I feel that that is one of the ways in which I feel like I'm a bad person. There were some conversations had about it during this family vacation where one of my siblings, from a place of vulnerability, and I won't say the name, uh, shared a certain jealousy in their hearts towards me because I am willing to ask for things. All right? And I didn't consider, at least, myself, uh, at least as it relates to the position that we're both in, to be the one that has anything to be jealous of, right? Are there things that I'm jealous of? You could say that. I wouldn't, put myself past it. But there was a moment of good. There was a moment of love that arose in that moment. To frame it in today's stream topics perspective, made me feel like he was a good person, and him being willing to admit that there was jealousy for the way that I engage with the world, right? And there was a moment in me where I had to almost defend myself. I felt, at least, I had to defend the part of me that was being jealous of, right? The part of me that was being jealous of was the part of me that's willing to ask for whatever. Ask for help, ask for lenience, ask for space, ask for the room to do as I wish. And the fact that more often than not, I have gotten what I asked for. I think there is a sensitivity in me as well where I know certain things I can and certain things I can't ask for. And I think because I have gained this relationship with asking, that I also have a bad relationship with the things that I can't ask for. And how the family doing with the final countdown? You'll be gone here in a few weeks. How are they handling it? Well, a conversation was had last night, dear Sam, where my sister was commenting on all of the zits I've been getting. And then she goes, having zits and stuff is a symptom of being in an increased stress state or something, something, having higher cortisol. Or I don't know if she used that word, but basically correlating my having of pimples to being stressed. And I go, yeah. And she goes, are you stressed? And I go, yeah. Warren, bet your ass I'm stressed. My entire life is about to change. Everything that I've known, everything that I've known is again about to change. I'm fortunate that I've gone through a change like that before in my life, right? So, in that way, the things, I was less stressed before I went to China than I am right now. And the things that I could have been stressed about when I got to China was, in so many words, inconsequential. Didn't make that big of a difference to me, right? So, this change that's coming now, I know for a fact that the things that I could have stressed about when I went to China won't exist where it is I'm going next. So, in that way, I am not stressed about the same things. However, I am stressed about what it's going to look like. But that's almost the nature of the conversation that we had, dear Sam. It was like, are you stressed? Like maybe I should be better at asking them questions, but they haven't really said anything, Sam. They've said they've almost like, if there's any communication been, it's been like an acknowledgement of the fact that it's happening. No personal feelings has been communicated, all right? The words "will miss you" hasn't been uttered once. All right, and again, the version of me that I consider a bad person can take information like that and tell myself this sob story about it, right? Really get myself down in the dumps about it. And I think that's the version of me that is a bad person, right? And that version of me is very active, let's say, more active than they're supposed to be. Use some dandruff shampoo on your face. My sister looked like a pizza growing up, but at some point her acne got less bad, and that's what ended up helping. Uh, I guess that could help. Like I'm at least not constantly in outbreak. There just seems to be these moments that arise. All right, like I'm mostly clear now, and then I have this one spot, and then it's like, okay, all right. I am at a point where I can't care less anymore, but other people will keep having eyes and stuff, and keep, at least my mom and sister, keep telling me about my stuff. They're gonna miss you bad. I'm sure they will, Mojo. I'm sure they will. Uh, Maybe they just don't want to say anything about it. The part of me that has the part of me that's a bad person, since we're talking about that as a fractal in today's stream topic, doesn't doesn't really know if it's true always, right? It's like the part of me that's a bad person also believes myself to be a burden. And I'm very capable in the same breath as well to convince myself thereof, right? In other words, I can, as a bad person, convince myself that I haven't been loved, that I've been told. And it's not untrue in one way or another that my existence is burdensome, right? And even though those moments that arise, maybe contextually, and from that context, I extracted meaning, even if that meaning could be seen as wrong, as a bad person's take. on a situation doesn't change the way we feel in those moments. I have a certain certainty, at the very least, Mojo, that my absence will, at the very least, make it clear that my presence can be appreciated. In other words, if I make an effort to come and see my family, they would appreciate me and the time I'm there, the time that I'm giving, more than they appreciate me now, because my time in their minds is abundant. Hey, all the feels. Hey, Joe. It's nice having you here today. We're talking today about what it feels like to be a bad person, right? And the way that I'm almost framing bad person being is being a person that makes their own experience bad, right? Whatever that looks like. And again, a bad person, in my mind at least, could be one that's like road raging, for example, and brighting, like driving their big pickup on your ass, brighting and honking their horn, right? Like that could be seen as a bad person. But realistically, they are ruining their own internal experience as well, right? So it can be pulled back to that internal world that they are influencing. And a good person, in the same breath, is a person that tries to make good their own inner experience, right? And the experience that they project out into the world. So maybe I shouldn't be quantifying, but I am learning, right? How it's best to see little by little. Mojo, I get so sad when he tell us stuff like this. I know they're gonna miss him and want him to have that moment with them, you know. Yeah. There was a moment where that was maybe possible. We had like one night where we were being very emotionally open, but nothing was said, right? My dad did pray for me. Maybe that could be seen as a step in the right direction. Like he prayed for me and he wants me to be safe on this journey that I'm gonna go on. But I don't know. Missing each other in our family hasn't really been something that we've been taught, right? I've seen it in my siblings as well, where maybe we do miss each other, but it's like something that's supposed to, at the very least, remain uncommunicated. But communicating it somehow says something about you, right? I think it's a matter of like ego and it's want to be able to do things by itself, right? The person that I am in this household is not something that they need, right? I am a yoga teacher and a conversationalist and an artist. And my dad has joined me for a total of 3 classes. My mom has joined me for 1, maybe 2. My sister for none, my brother and other brother for none as well. I don't think they've ever shown any interest whatsoever in my digital art, right? Like not once have they wanted to see the work that I do. Not once have they asked me, what does today's flower look like, you know, and asked me to go and get my tablet to show them. And I am very sure that they don't watch these videos either. My siblings, on the other hand, one is a mechanical engineer and the other is an electrician, right? So in that way, they add tangible value. They add economical value, right, in a way that I can't. And in that way, at least sometimes to me, it seems like they're more valuable in a family standing kind of perspective, right? If the family had to post-apocalypse kind of thing, those would be the family members that they would want to gravitate towards, right? And I don't have that same kind of value proposition as a person in this family. I do acknowledge that I add value in different ways, and the ways in which I add value uh, is again an extension of my own spirit. The person that I am begets the kind of value I try to create, right? The presence that I try to share, the way I experience my reality. And I did, this vacation past, really did try to share that with my family as well. But they were unreceptive, right? And if that is the bad person way to say it, we can also say it in the good person way and say they had too much to account for, too many other things to do, too much else to think about. So it wasn't possible for us to have the experience that we might have, right? If we showed up differently. Me speaking here in vague terms. But the way that I learned, realized is that if I'm going to spend time with my family, I'm just going to be a family member, right? And I really felt myself tuning into that way of being this past vacation. I was just a family member. I wasn't a teacher. I wasn't a artist, at least not in traditional sense. I still did decorate my hat, which felt pretty artsy, right? And I felt my family did at least a little bit appreciate looking at the hat, right? So in that way, maybe I did add my artistic touch to that fractal too. But I'll just be bland family member, right? Nondescript Uncle Melt kind of thing. If you want me to have a deep, meaningful conversation with you, I'm here. I'm here and open to having deep, meaningful conversations. You know, anytime, anytime. Watching from South Africa, streaming from South Africa right now. Ek is Afrikaanse seentjie. Siviwe. Siviwe Kaga. It's a cool name. We're talking today about what it feels like to be a bad person. Oh, there is definitely sun coming my way. Move now or move later is the question. I think I'll move forward just a little bit. I really don't want to, but the sun is not going to accommodate me. I chose poorly the spot I decided to settle down on. Don't make fun of my pants. It's the only pants that I have that fits this shirt, okay? Alright, I'll get myself green pants. This is a pair of pants that I got from a lady named Anne. She took one look at me and then she was like, I have a bunch of scarves and a pair of pants I don't wear. Do you want them? And I was like, yeah, yes I do. And then she gave me these pair of pants and I've only worn them once before. This is the second time I'm ever wearing them. They're not exactly my style, but they cover me ass, which we see as good. Yes, this is a good thing. There we go. A little bit more stable there. There, that sun is relentless. Mm-hmm. I hear you, Sam. I think it will happen. Here's hoping. Maybe it'll happen at the wing or something, or yeah. I'm not banking on it. All right. I have a lot of comfort being alone in that way, right? To reframe it, it's like I don't need my family to have a big old group hug and everybody crying about me leaving, right? Like I think it's part of it. Like I won't get that, so it's like a matter of I know that they'll miss me, but I don't need to know it any more than I already do, right? Love is true. That is one of the reasons that I continue to remind myself thereof. My mom mentioned that I have this habit of dropping into teacher mode, and I have a suspicion that's why they don't do yoga. I could, in fact, be insufferable to them. Yeah, like that's, I can be that way too. For instance, there was a moment during this family vacation where my siblings were really complaining about the back issues that they have. And in that moment, since I had taken up that role of being nondescript family member, I just listened. I was like, "Oh wow, your back is hurting. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that." Right? In the back of my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, you should practice yoga. Have you considered practicing yoga daily? That will help." I used to have pretty much chronic back pain nonstop, all day, every day. And it ebbs and flows, and sometimes it comes back worse than other days. But for the most part, since I started practicing yoga, my back pain has gone away, right? If I was having 95% back pain, I'm down to like 5% back pain. And of course, it's my job as a teacher to teach that, right? To like, I used to back pain, and we are literally from the same parents. We are genetically very close to each other, right? So I can speak from even more confidence that this would in fact help you. And I just didn't. I just didn't say anything. I just acknowledged that there was back pain being had, and I was very uh, empathetic, the right word. I was like, so sorry to hear that. And then during that night, where we had the opportunity to like vent some grievances or potential problems, when I was asked, how do I feel or what do I want from the family, in order to feel more a part of it, I mentioned that, right? That the version of me that I am is not someone they want, right? And I mentioned that story of the back pain conversation being had, and that the only thing that I wanted to say in that moment is that you should practice yoga. And then my brother acknowledged, he agreed with me. He was like, "Yeah, you're probably right," right? Because we were in an open enough space in that moment for him to absorb that information. He was like, "Yeah, you're probably right. Yoga would help." However, I can almost promise you, he hasn't started practicing yoga since, right? And I would be very surprised if he will start practicing yoga in the next 5 years. I think yoga is one of those things where it sometimes finds people when it has to, right? Like a person's body is so beaten and broken that they start doing yoga as a necessity, right? Like, okay, I have to do something, otherwise I will be bedridden or whatever, right? And it is very unfortunate because yoga helps you not get there in the first place, but everybody is on their own journey. And if this version of me that I am, the yoga teacher, the artist, the consciously trying at least to evolve conversationalist, is not something that they want, it's not something that I can give them, right? It's like all of us are salespeople and they're not buying what I'm selling, which is fine, right? I think that is completely fine. Every single person is deserved, is entitled to, I think that's the better word, their own experience. However, it doesn't change the fact that it makes me feel very happy to leave, right? Happy to try and find the place in which my unique way of being will be seen as a boon, as an asset, as a value add, as a benefit, as a positive force, as an impact mover, as an action driver, as a point of love, right? In the environment I'm in right now, I'm nondescript family member, right? Yes, you can start to describe, oh, he's my brother, he's my son. Spend all of this time. But the version of me that I am is not someone that they want to know. And it confuses me as to why that is, right? Especially since I find it so interesting to try and get to know other human beings. I think it's very fascinating how much diversity there is. I think it might be a matter of them believing that they already do, right? And I think that's also a part of some of the problems that we faced is having this sense of feeling like you've already been predefined. That who I am to them is who they want me to be, right? It's more convenient for them to see me as something than for them to see me. Doesn't make me a bad person. And I think it's more important than anything for me to not consider myself as one because of it. You know what I mean? I think so. It is bad to laugh when someone falls and busts their hiney. Yes, do I? Absolutely. And in that moment, I feel normal. I think feeling like a good or bad person is giving into the lie of duality. None of our actions are good or bad, they just are, like the course of a river. I don't think you're wrong in making that assessment, dear Sam. However, there is this awareness in me that I want the river to flow in a certain way. And if we're going to continue down this river analogy, there is this ability as a force of ambition to change things, right? My ambition to have the river flow in a certain way can direct water away from people that need it as well. My ambition to build a bridge and develop some sort of hydro energy system could end up impacting the fish, right? And the fish might not consider me a very good person, and the people that are no longer able to irrigate their lands might see me as a bad guy as well, right? And in that way, I feel like even though it's true, good and bad are lies of duality. The other quirk of duality is the fact that there are other people existing and being influenced by my decisions. I, for example, really don't like the screams of children, right? I was an English teacher at one point in my life, and I learned during that time that I have only so much patience. 2 hours a day was around the amount of patience that I had, right, for kids screaming and misbehaving. And some of them loved me a lot, right? Which means that they would run up to me and then attach themselves to my legs, right? And me being a very not touchy-feely person, right? I don't like being touched, generally, right? Like a bunch of almost like layers have to be reached before physical touch is something that I enjoy, and I generally don't. And then these kids attaching themselves to my legs, like I'm like, oh, I'm internally screaming right now. You need to stop touching me. A nervous smile. Oh, I'm gonna lose my mind. And then it's the same thing with like children screaming, right? Like the whole fractal of a child screaming on an airplane kind of thing, right? Suddenly losing your mind, you know, wanting to duct tape that child to the seat, close their mouth as well while you're at it. I think some stuff like that sometimes, right? It makes me feel like I'm a bad person. Makes me feel like I'm a really bad person. And I've been almost like holding on to it this whole time. There is this quote that I've been thinking about, been holding as a grounding truth in my own experience, and it goes, It's not about the first thought you think, it's about the second thought you think, right? So the first thought I think might be, I would love to duct tape this screaming child that's running up and down the alley of the airplane. I would love to duct tape them to the seat, you know, close their mouth while I'm at it. I'd love to do that. And then the second thought is like, oh, they're just a kid. Can you imagine how frustrated their parents must be? Can you imagine how bored they must be having to sit on a long flight? You know, the novelty of this experience, the lack of social ineptitude. And that's the second thought that I have. And it's the second thought that makes me I wanted to say a good person, a better person. Makes me a person and at the very least has an extra layer of consideration for what what is happening, not just what is happening to me, you know, what my experience is as I'm having it. I think that adds a little bit of room for us to grow as well. All right. Do you chastise Mother Nature's when beavers divert the course of a river and accidentally kill off a place? No. Then why are we browbeating ourselves over these imagined self slights? Because we're smart enough to understand the impact of our actions, dear Sam. I think that's one of the reasons. We browbeat ourselves because there's something above the brow, conceptualizing, contextualizing our actions, understanding the impact of them, right? Like, I could make a lot of money, right? And scammers will let you know, scamming old people, right? But my moral imperative would never let me do something like that because I believe that would make me not a bad person, a one of the worst persons, right? Like, you can't get lower than that kind of thing. And again, I'm sure that the people that do that as a profession have like a whole little mental gymnastics that they put themselves through, you know, a little story they tell themselves about how they shouldn't they shouldn't chastise themselves because they have it so bad, and you know they haven't had the same opportunities, and they also have a kid to feed, etc., etc. It's so diverse. I think it's a matter of like awareness. There's sometimes I wish, sometimes I smoke to be less aware of my everything, you know, or at the very least to be a little bit less critical, to accept the problems that are bigger than me, at least temporarily, right? Technology and resources, help from other people will allow me to do way more than I'm capable of doing right now. And right now, I still have to continue to be. I still have to continue extracting value, love, goodness from this moment that I'm in. So I tried to. Meltmore feels bad talking like a person. He wants us to call him vampire. Yep, that's exactly what I said. It'll be vampire Meltmore from now on. Thank you very much. I'll be looking. Even vampires can move forward with the pace of time, with the pace of prosperity, even aliens from a different planet. Rest of my time, I'm making the little rituals happen and I keep relationships in good condition. Good morning. Good morning to you, Hoopty Hoops. I don't think what you're saying is completely untrue, right? Is there some value in what it is you're saying as well? I'm not a bad person. I'm a good alien. Morning, Darren. Darren is here with us as well. It's nice having you. Sam says vampires have the most unearned sense of superiority, though. Glorified mosquitoes walking around in lace cravatas, and pointed toe boots. Got married yet, bitch? Yassi. True potential. Not yet. I'm getting married the 4th of April. Marriage is still a little bit of a while out My brother is getting married in less than 20 days. In 17 days, he's getting married. Leave me alone. Flying in my field of vision is punishable by death. Unless you're a butterfly, of course. Then I'll be happy about it. Let me see if I missed any comments. Mm-mm-mm. Morning again, Darren. The 4th of April is the decided upon date. Yep, nice and synchronous. 040426. All right, easy enough to remember 0404 as an anniversary. My mom and my dad got married on the 6th of April. So it's close in that way as well. And it also gives us enough time to plan a little bit. Part of us wanted to, I think, do it the 22nd of February at first. But that would literally give us less than a month to go and see places, make a plan, send out invitations, and yada yadas. So April is going to be a little bit of a better day. Yeah. And it should be in my time as well, right? It's in my 3 months, so I won't be breaking the rules. Breaking the law, breaking the law. No breaking the law for me. I'm going to be a good law abiding citizen. I'm going to pay my taxes. I'm going to follow the road laws. I'm going to consume. Oh, I'll consume. I'll consume. I'll tell you. Eat things, buy stuff. Yep. You hear that, cat? The algorithm loves me, bro. It just said all of the things that it wants to hear. All of the best things. I'll be a good person. According to the system. Create a line of credit even for the first time in my life. I'm gonna create debt. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna freaking do it. I'm gonna do it. I've never had debt in my life. And there was a part of me that I took great pride in that. But I'm realizing as well that it doesn't actually help me. Doesn't actually do me any good. At least not in the world as it is right now. Right? It just gives me a worse credit score, which means that if I ever wanted to create debt, it'll be harder for me to, and my debt will be more expensive. Which makes perfect sense, of course. Makes great. I mean, it does technically make sense. Technically, I get it. However, I still don't want to. I don't know, and this is why. I don't know if it makes people better. I don't know if it would make me a good person. Nope. I'm not convinced it would. And I think that's the big crux of the problem. How can I be a how can I be a good person to the system and to myself at the same time? When it comes to my work ethic, I think I'll be fine at the very least. Uh, Stereotypically, statistically, South Africans are really good workers. I think it is a matter of like hunger. We really do have less in this space. So when given the opportunity to make more, it's rarely squandered. Rarely is it squandered. The opportunity is taken. And I feel like there is definitely a certain, I don't know if the word is apprehension, uncertainty, I think is still the right word, in what it is that will look like for me next year. Right? What it is I'll keep myself busy with. I do want to do something that I can be proud of. And there are some ideological differences to who I am as a person and the place that I'm going. Not specifically Indiana, but America at large, with their pivot away from renewable technologies a little bit, right? I'm like all electrons and solar, right? If I could like choose only two topics, or if I could choose only one topic to talk about forever, it would probably be electricity, right? And all of its applications and all of its ways of, acquisition, right? That would be something that I could talk about endlessly. And there is a little bit of a metaphorical stick up the ass when it comes to, going back to oil. And again, I think it's because it's so, like, I want to use the word almost like bankable, quantifiable. I just hope that it becomes very unprofitable real quickly. Oh, please, 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 please. Please, 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 please. Please, let's just do the electricity instead. Right? All of us can collectively save money. How are you going to convince a whole planet to prioritize degrowth? Right? Trickle down economics hasn't really worked for the average Joe, but it's still something that is believed. And I don't think it's completely wrong. Not completely, completely. Like the baseline quality of life of the average person, I do believe has increased over the last 50 years. However, a bunch of other things also happened in the last 50 years that doesn't necessarily serve the average person. Brings it back to that whole fractal of the only thing that you can really cater for is your own immediate experience. I can still be stoked about solar and be stoked about electric vehicles, even if there are no subsidies, even if there are no proper capitalist competition in that way, right? Can't necessarily buy the products that I want at the prices that they're available at a global stage. But again, I think that that also has room for change, right? Change is the only constant, and time is its force. Is it 2026? Kaylee Maganda? It's 2026, dear friend. Wild to think. The year 2026 is upon us. I started doing this in the year 2021. This was my sixth consecutive day in the year 2021, this one that I'm sitting on right now. I was sitting in a very proximity wise same space, right? Probably no more than 10-meter radius. Yeah, the space has taught me a lot. The next 5 years are going to be just as educational. You're right. You're the right skin color, but ICE may still find reason to pick you up anyway. Be sure you have a lawyer and legal funds on tap. Uh, I don't know if you know, Sam, but that's not exactly something that I'm preparing for. I do not have legal funds on tap, and I definitely do not have a lawyer. However, it's not something that I'm really worried about. Again, if there is a fate in store for me, that is my deportation, getting put in some sort of black site prison for simply existing, then so be it, right? If my streams get interrupted by getting arrested for just existing, that would be very comical to me. But it would inspire me to eventually get out and show up for you friends again. I have very little worry in my heart, so little. That's like literally the least of my concerns. The problems that I think we'll face is going to be a quality of life crisis, not as it relates to being able to afford things, but as it relates to our existence. And I'm very fortunate to have found a lot of contentment in simply existing, no matter where it is I am. There is infinity right in front of you, even if you're in a prison, even if you're in a tank with salt water, not a smidge of light coming in, your ears plugged and then underneath the water level. So even the audio in that space, is completely desolate. And in that complete darkness, complete nothingness, non existence, there is even contentment. That I have shown myself as well. I can just be. I can be in the not beingness, no matter where it is I find myself. It's that whole fractal of I don't exist. At least not the way that you think I do. Definitely not in the way that I think I do. Because I exist to myself in a certain way. And I'm existing to myself right now in that way. However, I have been very different versions of myself just in the last 5 years. So in that way as well, like there is I have been all of those versions of me. And then there has been you on the other side that have been here with me. And you have been many different versions of yourself in the last 5 years as well. And then there are many different versions of us, each one of a different name, that I have a whole perspective on, that you have a whole perspective on me. And in each of those minds, there exists a version of me that you consider MeltMore. But none of those versions are the MeltMore that is me, right? Maybe if we can all collectively hold all of those images simultaneously, there would be some sort of base truth arising from it. Maybe that version of me, maybe that version of I exists, but the version of I that I think I am definitely doesn't. And it is one of those things that I feel has for a long time come instinctual. It's only at this point in my life that I have grown to properly articulate and understand with more clarity what it is I'm experiencing. My journey, my battle, is literally with judgment. It's learning how to release all judgment in every single moment as I am experiencing. And I'm not releasing that judgment because it makes me a bad person to have it, even though it could. I'm releasing that judgment because it makes my experience a worse one. When instead of experiencing judgment, I can experience gratitude for the beauty of whatever it is I'm looking at. Even if it's not perfect, there is still a complexity, a nuance, a novelty, a depth, a fidelity to whatever it is I'm looking at. I can imagine myself becoming a devout meditator if I ever had to get locked up. You know, one of those fractals of like, anyway, anyway, I just started blasting, but my consciousness into the ether. Oil is basically an oil production, not just an energy generation. I don't think there's any getting rid of it. You are right. It's a very big force in plastics as well, and plastics really are synonymous with our modern world. It's true. Yeah, that's a lot of oil, bro. Goodness. I'm just thinking about the fractals that are happening right now. One question: what happens if you steal from the police? I'm pretty sure they arrest you. Kira Burp is here with us too. Hey, Kira Burp. It's nice having you. Darren, so much stupid money is tied up in oil now for a finite industry with renewable options aplenty. It's absurd, obscene, and inexcusable. What Darren says is true though, right? Like plastic is very, and again, there are some use cases for plastic in which it is good, right? I think if we used a lot of the plastic we've already produced, for example, and if we implement it with mindfulness this going forward, plastic into products that we intend to last for a very long time, and stop using plastics for products that don't last a long time, right? The fact that we're using plastic bottles, that needs to stop. And I do believe we're going to move to uh, aluminium or something like that. But unfortunately, those aluminium cans have linings in them as well, right? And those linings are made of plastic. Maybe we could figure out some sort of biological equivalent, right? Line the cans with some sort of algae glue. I don't know. I'm not a scientist yet, right? But surely there's some way. But doing it with metals and having something that is biodissolvable before you have to melt them, or even something potentially that doesn't like just like separates the slag. That's the world I'm hoping for at the very least. Right? Things that ought to last a long time, that are going to be in your life a long time, because there are so many different types of plastic now as well, right? Chemistries of plastic. We should, for instance, I think, just like ban or outlaw certain types, the shitty types, right? Like if we're going to make plastic products, they have to be of good quality. Like you're almost not allowed to try and save money. Like there should be almost like a tax, I feel, levied on plastic products, and the tax gets higher the poorer quality it is. Imagine a world like that where things are still made of plastic, but the things that are made of plastic are of such high quality that it will literally continue lasting for 300 years if it's taken care of properly. Right. I'm stoked for that kind of existence. It's so stupid if people tied up money in oil. I mean, if you have a lot of money, figure out a way to short it. Not financial advice. Not financial advice. And it's one of those things where the market may stay irrational longer than you can stay liquid. Kind of fractals as well. So, but we are gonna move towards electrons. A new solid-state battery just dropped yesterday. A company called Donut is making 400 watt-hour per kilogram batteries. Well, I don't know what that means. It's a good thing. Is what it means. It means you can have an electric motorcycle that goes 300 miles, 300 plus miles on a charge. It means you can charge that battery that will take you 300 plus miles in 5 minutes. And it might just be hype, but they claim that they're manufacturing them right now, right? That they're already taking orders and that they have gigawatt kind of generation capacity. And that's, I guess, small stuff like that. It makes me so stoked for the future, right? Because it's happening. It is happening. It's happening slowly, but fortunately, the same systems at play, the same money at play that is betting on oil as a commodity, right, are betting against the technologies that will end up winning, right? And if we're thinking about it from a zero sum perspective, part of me wants the people betting on oil to lose. right? It's like you've done so much to hurt the earth. I don't really care if you get a little bit financially hurt as well, right? Doesn't really break my heart. Uh, Again, it's a matter of like voting with our dollars. No, electric cars are not cheap and not always practical, but every dollar we don't spend on gas or on buying more gas powered vehicles is us taking money away from those systems little by little. Little by little, and then everything all at once. Libtard, libtard. How how vast, how deep, how intellectual of you to say a single word that you learned on the internet that you probably don't even know the meaning of. I would consider myself a centrist for the most part because again I uh, kind of don't like the idea of government at all. I actually don't think capitalism is all bad, but I'm also willing to recognize that what we have right now isn't capitalism, right? And I feel the fact that it's been so easy for people to almost just like spew a word that they learn on the internet that they think makes them the one with the upper hand instead of just considering the situation that we're in as a species. It's so silly to me, right? I do trust that I won't get involved in any political conversations next year or this year. I'm gonna try and make sure of it. I'm just going to pretend that I have no idea what anybody is talking about ever. I'm gonna I'm gonna be that foreigner. I'm South African. I'm gonna pretend like I don't even know who the people are. I'm gonna say shit like Mark Rubio is the Hulk, right? I'm gonna say shit like that on purpose. I'm gonna like pretend that I don't know what someone's talking about when they talk about Ramp, you know, the resident of the United States. I'm gonna be like, what? What is that? Because again, I really can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered. I just don't. I don't care. All I care about is progress and the way that it allows people to change the world. And that's something that I have access to in my own life. I think that's the big thing that I'm happy about. Taking back my control little by little. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Sam, burning it never made sense to me. Oh, yeah. Humans lack the collective ability to think for a half second, Darren. That's why we do dumb shit that don't make sense. It's again a very dense energy source, right? Like that's why we burn it. But it is also a matter of like we are very slow learners. Takes us a long time. Marco Rubio is the yeah, I'm happy that Joe is getting corrected up by that as well. Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I am educated. I know who the Hulk is and stuff. I don't even know. I'm gonna like even pretend that I don't know celebrity names. Don't know pop culture song lyrics, and for that part, mostly true. Best pants ever. You like these pants? They are technically lady pants. Technically, a lady gave them to me from her wardrobe. She says that she didn't like the way they fit her. They fit my legs. It's definitely not my traditional getup. But thank you, Kira Burb, for making me aware that I have clothing on. Kira Burbs, we're lurking and loving y'all. So much love is true. Sending the love right back to you. Mm. I mean, we were building incredible cathedrals without combustion engines. Yeah, but it also was done with so much money and literal years, decades, at some point centuries of construction. So, what would I rather have? The use of diesel vehicles, right? Big diesel trucks hauling tons of concrete to the construction of something versus it taking 100 years to build a building. Suddenly, I stop thinking for half a second and consider that option to echo some of the fractals. Just an opinion, but giant lithium ion pools, swimming pools is not it either. You're talking about the big bays. It's not the only way to do it, all right? It's not the only way to do it. There are other ways to do it as well. And again, after we've done that, it is recyclable. We can reuse that metal that we've extracted. Where with the combustion of fuels, we lose that resource indefinitely. And the way that we use energy has always been the storage of it. We can do flywheels. That's one way to store energy. Dangerous and not very practical. You need to mine the resources to make it heavy enough to make it feasible as well. We're not going to get around the mining fractal, at least not in the short term. I am looking forward to us getting a little bit better at recycling all of the like scrap cars that are just like standing in car graveyards, scrap yards, people's driveways, you know. Like there's so much metal already standing on the top of the surface. So like it's another whole fractal as well. But yeah, I don't think there's gonna be any getting away from the mining fractal. I just think we need to prioritize, right? And we're going to build robots. There's someone that I heard made a very apt analogy today, and it was about how in a game, if you're using a bot to do the same thing over and over again, right? Like a very easy loop, you could let it run overnight and then come back to your game the next morning and have more resources than you know what to do with, right? Infinite money glitch kind of thing. And we're pushing as a species now towards building machines like that. Boston Dynamics has been purchased by Hyundai, which is a car company, which means they know how to make large units of things. All of the supply they have for the new Atlas robots have already been bought up for this year by that car manufacturing company. Like we're seeing it happening. It's gonna happen right in front of us. There will be super sophisticated machines that help us. It's just going to be a matter of what is it that we consider valuable. And that is up to you because you're the deciding factor, right? You are helping the collective decide what is valuable. We've been fine if you had just called him a liberal, but you went for the insult, so you got removed. Yeah, it's just so lazy. I think that's the part that really got me. It's like I feel part of me is vocal about it because I'm like so disappointed, right? That I want to say something like, bro, let me show you what articulation looks like, kind of thing. Like, how about you try? How about you try a little bit harder? Just a wee bit. Giant lithium ion swimming pools. Rex brain. Is somebody using a people battery to carry out their evil deeds? Uh, so what he means by that is that one of the ways that we extract lithium is by pumping the brine out of the ground and then pumping those brines onto massive plateaus, swimming pools essentially, so that most of the water evaporates off of it so that we can collect the salts, right? So that's where the whole swimming pool thing comes from. Again, a lot of the places in which that's done, it's already basically desert wasteland. Can't imagine that the sand necessarily gets better quality for it. But I can promise you that it's better than oil spills. I promise you that. That I can definitely promise you. Speaking of oil, I won a raffle and got $700 off an e-bike, and I picked it up yesterday. Nice. 900 bucks? Did I say 700? 900 bucks off an e-bike. Which one? Can you tell me the exact brand, Nancy? I want to see what it looks like. I'm super into that stuff. I don't know if I won a raffle. I technically spun a wheel and it had 200, 100, 50 and like $25 off options, and it only had like one $200 off option and then the rest, as you know. And then I got the $200 off option, right? And then the vehicle that I ended up getting myself, also a personal electric vehicle, was I think $1,300 discounted on the website. And then because it was above $1,000, it allowed me to actually apply my $200 off coupon. I mean, I know it's gamification or whatever, right? And trying to get my money, but the amount of vehicle that I got, the amount of batteries that I got, literally here in South Africa, if I just bought the batteries, nothing attached to them, right? Maybe it has an inverter attached to them, so they have the ability to input and output energy. It would be more money than I paid for an entire thing I can ride, right? Something that I can go from point A to point B with, something that I can explore the world with because of the discounts. I'm super stoked about that. I'm super stoked about you getting yourself a vehicle as well, Nancy. May it give you such many safe miles. I hope you enjoy exploring the world in a new way. Darren says it's how they harvest lithium ion, giant green pools. It's one of the ways. It's one of the ways. Hey Google, how is all of the world's lithium mined? Give me a breakdown in percentages of all of the different processes as well. It's how they harvest. The Hulk, right? Best times ever. And what we lack in industrial power, we made up for with slave labor. I don't know if you mean the robots. Robots aren't slaves. I believe, at least. I have to. I have to believe robots aren't slaves. Because again, a slave is a human being that is forced to work against their will. That's what I consider a slave, right? And it's the whole will thing. A robot is something programmed by the will of a person, right? So in that way, it's an extension of their will. And in that way, it's not slavery, right? It's like, at least in my mind, right? Maybe it's alarm clock. It's like alarm clock. I have the will to wake up tomorrow morning at a certain time. And then I set this alarm clock to remember for me that it's now this time and ringing bell so that you can wake up and drive so you can be at this appointment that you've made of a friend at a certain time, right? That's the way I see robots, is that it's this thing programmed with the intention of the creator that helps the creator get to its objective, right? Where the alarm clock is an extension to consideration of your friend's time. And the robot, in that way, is a consideration of our collective time as well. So here it is. Here it is. Most of the world's lithium is mined through two primary methods. Hard rock mining is number one, and brine extraction is number two. While brine makes up the majority of the global reserves, hard rock mining currently dominates total production due to its faster processing times. So 60 to 66% of the production share is hard rock mining right now. In Australia, China, and Zimbabwe. How about that? Then there is the brine extraction, which is, as our friend said, solar evaporation, the salt flats. But that's only 34 to 40%, right? So not all of it. And then the last 1% is direct lithium extraction. That's the way that we're going to start doing it, probably increasingly as we're going forward. So instead of running that brine onto flats and then letting the sun evaporate the water away, we run that brine through certain permeable filters. And then the lithium permeates out of those filters, right? Or the water permeates out of those filters. And then on the other side, we get our product instead of having to put it out in the sun for it to dry. So, yeah, there are different ways, at least. We're not locked into just one way of producing things. Melt looks like it's called electric PX4. Hey Google, show me the electric P. No, stop. Hey Google, show me the electric XP4 e-bike. It like butchered. There we go, but it got it. I'm guessing you got the long range. If you got $900 off from the just normal X4, you paid like $100 for it or something. All residents of the country I live in were eligible to enter the raffle. It was a monthly raffle, so it took me about 5 or 6 times to be one of the winners. Sorry, all residents 18 and over. Okay, that's cool. 50 miles of range, 28-mile-an-hour top speed, got hydraulic discs. The longer range version has 85 miles. But even 50 miles is a good amount of range. Like, I think that's going to be enough for the average person to have gone where they wanted to go or have ridden for as long as they feel comfortable to and to be done. 20-inch tires. It's got a USB-C charging port. That's nice. Torque sensor, so it makes you feel like you're very strong as you're riding it. I'm checking some photographs. Hey, they say it's one of the best budget bikes that you can get. That's nice. Look at that. That's a nice bike. That's super cool, Nancy. May it serve you so very well. I'm happy that you won your raffle. Thank you for sharing this good news with us. Yeah, the long range one. Nice. 85 miles is a long range, right? Like you probably, I mean, I don't know if you're a speed demon, but you'll get still, you'll definitely get more than 50 miles of range out of it in that case, right? Let's say 60, 100 kilometers. That's that's long range enough for you to go all the way from the farm into town and back 3-ish times, right? So it's a very practical vehicle. You can actually do realistic things with it. Main motivation was to stop spending money on gas. It's expensive in California. Yeah, 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 yeah. Nancy, that's the coolest thing for me as well, right? This is the vehicle that I got, and it's in about the same price range. It's technically cheaper than the one you got for yourself. I mean, you did get the big coupon discount, so that's a big deal. But this is the one that I got for myself. The InMotion V11Y. I will share, of course, in more depth with you friends when it actually arrives, but that's that's the way mine looks. Singular vehicle. And the coolest part about it, to echo your fractal, is the fact that the running costs on them is like ridiculously low. This one has a 1.5 kilowatt hour battery, and I think yours is probably the same-ish size, I would guess, knowing they get a similar-ish range. Man. Longer range. I want to see its battery size. 17 amp hours. Hey, actually, 840 watt hours. So a little bit smaller battery in that way. But you'll be getting, I think, more range than me on a single charge. So let's work on a single kilowatt hour, right? And I think a kilowatt hour of electricity. Hey Google, what is a kilowatt hour of electricity cost in California? So we're rounding up right now a little bit, Nancy, which means technically you're going to pay even less, but it is 31 to 33 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's going to cost you 31 to 33 cents every time you want to charge your bicycle, and then you'll be able to go 50 plus miles on it for 30 cents. My vehicle should be able to get around 42-ish miles on a charge, right? It is a single vehicle, and that is if I'm driving it a little bit more aggressively as well. But it's the same kind of thing, right? Where my running costs for me to basically transport myself where I want to go for a week is going to be about it's going to be about 30 cents. 30 to 60 cents at most per week, unless I'm going on like long range adventures, but going to the store, going to the place that I'm working kind of thing, 30 cents a week. Right? And if you consider how much you pay for insurance and how much you pay for fuel, some places how much you pay for parking, right? Suddenly the prospect of paying 30 cents per week for your transportation is like, excuse what? What? You say what now? Sign me up right now. Like somebody take my money, please. That's who we are now. Electric people. Technomancers. I like to call us Nancy. Hell yeah, Nancy, super rad. So much love. Save all of that money. I'm happy that you won't be buying as much fuel. Still nice to have a vehicle, I'll admit, right, as a part of the household. But for all of the moments in which you don't need to use it, right? Because again, every time you go on the road with it, it is going to cost you money and a potential accident or having someone ding your door with theirs, right? That's very expensive, relatively. Like a hard, like really hard ding door would cost to repair more money than one of these electric vehicles, right? That's the part that's bonkers to me as well. It's like they're making it make too much sense. Going electric, small little personal mobility devices is the way forward. I got a new dog. Nice. So now I have 4. That's a lot of dog. I don't know if I have still the grit for that much dog. If they're outside dogs, I do. But our dogs are inside dogs. And that's too much dog for me. Talking about dog, here comes one now. I have 104 animals. That's too many animals, bro. Yeah, that's maybe you have a bunch of like budgies or something. Otherwise, I have extreme concern. Adorable dog. He's cute. Hi, Kobe. Come here. Come here. Come hither. You have a little hitchhiker on your face here. Stand still for me. Thank you for standing nice and still. There you go. Yeah, this dude was eating your eyebrows. He's eating your eyebrows. He was. Yep. Look at him. Look at him squirm. Look at that new squirm. You see him squirming? That was eating you. Just a second ago. Sucking on your blood and stuff. Right here on your forehead. He really doesn't like the pests. It messes with him. I've seen it. This one doesn't want to stop scaling my fingers like Mount Everest. There we go. I fed him to the ants. Let's see how long it takes an ant to find him. He's still moving. No, I need to. I need you to stop resisting. You're Afrikaans? Ja. Ja, ek's Afrikaans, enkling. Enkling is ek. Baie Afrikaans. What's that thing on top of your roof? I don't know which thing you're talking about, but if we're looking there, there's a Burby. They've made a nest in that little roof nook. Then there's a rock holding that antenna. That is the point-to-point Wi-Fi we have right now. There's a bigger antenna far out that's pointing towards this one, and this one is pointing towards it. Then there's one of the side skirting of the house that got blown off, and it hasn't been really reached. And then there's like a mini solar panel for like a little rechargeable light, and then there's two bigger ones that go inside. And then there's just mostly roof for the rest of it. Okay, for Wi-Fi, yeah. Ja, point to point, interwebs. That's how we get to share this moment right now. The cell reception here is atrocious. Let me see. Do I have any cell reception? No. You can see that there's no bars there. Ain't got no bars. It is problematic, but it's part of living far out. Cool wallpaper. You saw my Wizard King wallpaper. There's this running joke between me and my best friend where both of us have made this almost like cosmic bet that whoever dies last becomes Wizard King automatically. All right. And Wizard King is a archetype that was explored in Black Clover. Yeah, it's basically like a series about a bunch of badasses with badass powers. And then there's the king of all badasses. That's the Wizard King. And me and him have a running competition about who's Wizard King. And I have that wallpaper to remind myself. All right. It kind of like happened by accident where it was like this leading conversation that I had with a language model. And then at some point, almost like explaining to it Wizard King fractals, I asked it to like envision me. And then that's what it gave me. And I was like, bet. I didn't ask for a big old uh, purple gem scepter, but I'm like, bet. I'd probably rock something like that. It makes sense. Makes sense to me. Oh, nice. Is it an anime? Yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. Mm-mm-mm. Love is true. It is now time for me to show you a flower. You ready to see something you haven't seen before? Some of you might have, those that are Patreon supporters. But to those who are not, prepare your eyeballs. I hope you like orange and blue. I really do like the combination of these two. Let me see if I can up my brightness. Nope, already maximum brightness. Let me see if I can. Oh, wow. Thank you. It suddenly turned my light mode off and made everything white, and I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. There we go. Black background, please. Thank you. This is the goodest it's gonna get. I'll have to just show you like this. My hard eyes. Aw, Joe. Ooh, pretty, right? Such a beautiful combination of these two colors. The way it continues all the way around. Mm, gotta love it. Creating these little distinct planes. At some point, I'm going to add a lot more depth to these. I want to make them out into the real world, and then I want to have layers that are individually defined. Some of them sunk back, some of them put forward. Man, looking forward to meeting the person that's going to allow me to build a real spectacle piece. Phil is definitely someone in America that's going to want me to do that for them. Define layers would look way cool, right? It's been like a dream of mine to make a piece like that for a long time. At the very least, I want to make a multi-layer frame that follows the contour of like a cutout flower, and then that to be on the wall, right? For it to have that edge impact on your reality. All right. Guy, appreciate sharing this good fractals with you friends. Good dream. Hope it comes true. Oh yeah. Old dreams do come true. It just takes longer than you think it will. And I'm infinitely patient. I can wait. I can wait for things to be as I want them to be. Because change is constant. Let me read one more time. Where I am is real. This is the world as I have it today. Swallow flying over me. Not the headline version, not the argument, not the one I rehearsed on the way here. Just this, the floor holding my weight, the air doing its quiet work, time moving forward without asking what I think about it. I don't get to choose the shape of the world. I get to choose how much of myself I bring into it. Some days that's clarity, some days that's patience by accident, some days it's just not making things worse than they already are. And that counts. The truth is, nothing else is required of me except to actually be here instead of negotiating with yesterday or auditioning for tomorrow. The world I experience is the one I believe into motion, not because belief is magic, but because attention is. What I feed grows loud, what I stop wrestling loses its teeth. So I tend to what's close, what's reachable, what's already asking for care, a conversation, a breath, a moment that doesn't need improving to be enough. If I can live this part well without rushing past it, without pretending I'm elsewhere, something honest opens. Not a solution, a grounding. And from that place, the future doesn't feel like pressure, it feels like continuation. This is the only world I can change, the one I'm inside of. And if I do that gently, deliberately, with respect for the fact that this is what I've been given, then the world as it is to me becomes workable, becomes warm, melts more. Yeah, a little bit more so. Giving myself the room to grow. Realizing that there's so much more than I can hold in my mind. Happy New Year to you, do. Friend, it's such a blessing to still see you out here being your wonderful, beautiful self. It makes me so happy to have moments like these. I hope you know, friend. Catnip, it really is one of those things where every single time we show up here together, there is the perpetuation of something good. Right? You are your beautiful self as well. I am just a reflection. On the other side of this mirror, a person just as you are. There is there is so much hope. I was not trying to that, but it means so much. Thank you. Thank you for blessing me with abundance as well. There is so much hope. I don't know if you know, dear friend. I'll update you too. I'm coming to America soon. And these finances that you're sending will contribute, has been contributing to the life that it is will live. The stuff that will create the existence that we'll make. It's Ebony Star. I thought so. I was pretty sure it was Ebony Star, but I didn't want to say it directly. Uh, Me and Boyana and Kate were talking about you just recently. Uh, there was a phone call had. I called Kate because she told me she wanted to talk. And then while we were talking, Boyana calls me. And then we pulled her into the conversation as well. And you came up in the conversation too, talking about the fact that you friends have shown up together. I'm coming to America soon. We'll have to make a whole fractal to meet each other too. Thank you for blessing me on this journey, for sharing some of your abundance with me. It really means more than I can say. I'm happy to have shared this poem, this flower with you, friends. I promise to continue showing up, even if my environment changes. I look forward to being very deliberate with my environmental change. Are you coming to America? When is that happening? I am going to be there in less than a month. In 23 days, technically, I'll be on American soil, looking at America around me. Whoa! I was just there for a second. I'm back here right now. Looking forward to it. Oh, that's so funny, because we were just talking about doing a meetup. Well, would you be willing to postpone it just a little bit? Can we do it in somewhere in March or something, or late February? All right, then I can get all of my ducks in a row. We're so close as well. If we're doing it at Kate's place, we're literally 2 hours away. I'm moving to Indiana, so yeah. Fractals, 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 fractals. I appreciate you for joining, sharing some of your fractals with us. I appreciate the love. Howdy fam, Kiefer joining us too. Another friend that we have to go and meet. That area, what area are you gonna be? Are you going to Ohio to visit Kate? It's cool that I shared that fractal with you even before you asked. Mind to mind communication. Yeah, yeah. Joe is super down as well, so you'll get to meet Joe Bot as well. Whoa. Are you moving? Yeah, yeah, I am. No, I don't have any plans. I was talking about a meetup with Nelson's crew and people while they're my crew people now, because we don't stream that much. But there's more conversation coming, I'm sure. Man, you are looking sharp today, buddy. Are these new threads? Yeah, these ones are. Like this pair of pants is as well, technically not that new. I got them last year, but they were a gift from someone who wasn't wearing them. It's not exactly my vibe, right? Makes me feel things. Makes me feel very revealed. I kind of like my baggy pants, but yep, yep, yep. We don't have any concrete, so you're gonna be in the States. I'll just make it a point to keep up with you to see when you'll be around. Yep, yep, yep. There's more layers of wow coming. More layers of wow to be revealed. Like I feel like now is like the last layer of wow that I can really wow you with. I'm moving to the States, as you asked, yes, Because I'm getting married. More layer of wow. Yeah, that's right. Getting married to Jobot, actually. So, like Arpan fractals, literally. Literally, Arpan rocking our worlds continuously. What a cool fractal that was. All right, almost like this whole little pocket universe that we all stepped into. For the record, I'm excited to meet you once you get here. For the record, I want to know where you live. Don't tell me your exact address, but tell me kind of like the state that you're in. And then assume that I don't know how far away that is, and then you tell me how far away it is from Indiana as well, while you're telling me Kiefer. Part of me wants to like go on these adventures on the EUC, where I ride out to you friends. Maybe I'll take a train every now and then, or something, right? Like I want to make like mini adventures. Texas, Yasibo Basas. That is, yeah, Texas. I know. That's one of the ones that I actually do know where it is. That is not gonna be close. Let me do this this thing quickly. There's a full really quaying. How many train stations are there from Indiana to Texas? 1,000 miles. I'll maybe have to take a train. Oh, 16 hour, 16-hour train. Okay, it's driving. I'm make a plan. We can fly. Flying, I heard, is actually not that inaccessible if you're flying like interstate. Right? Is that true? Let me find out. I don't think I can fly with my wheel though. That's the thing that I'm like. I think I can get on a train with my wheel, but I don't know about flying. No, no. Let me. I want to kind of like see the map from the top. All of the train routes in America map. I mean, I mean, there definitely is some blue going all the way from what looks like Chicago down to the tippity of Texas. Oh, oh! Train travel in the US, the Amtrak. Yeah, I could go. I don't know if it will allow me to get on in the middle of it. I could go to Chicago and then go down to Little Rock and Dallas. Where in Texas are you? It doesn't have to be in Texas. I find myself around the country sporadically throughout the year, so who knows? Yeah, domestic flights can be really cheap, especially if you're in a slow time of your year. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, there's fractals, dude. There's definitely fractals. Could be an Amtrak fractal. Could be fun. Could go down to New Orleans before I do. Right? Because again, as I go to go and visit you, then I'll take my wheel with me and I'll get off at New Orleans and then I'll explore New Orleans a little bit and then I'll get on the train again and then go get closer. I think that might be the cheapest way. I don't know if the Amtrak is actually affordable. I might be mistaken, but I think passenger trains have to defer to non-passenger trains if it can cause long delays. I don't know what that means. Have to defer to non-passenger trains if it's going to cause long delays. As in, because there's so much non-passenger trains and they have like important perishable potentially goods, they have to get right of way, or is it the other way around where the people, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what was being meant. Mm-mm-mm-mm-hmm. I have some friends who live in Illinois and I want to go see them at some point and I could make a little side quest. Yeah, that sounds like it could work as well. It's actually much more expensive to take a train than a plane in most cases for long distance travel here in the States. I've heard as much. But it is for me about being able to take my wheel with me, right? So I'm willing to pay the potential premium on the way to getting to where I'm going so that I can not pay the premium that comes with having to get myself Ubers and the limiting factor that comes with having to either walk everywhere or get myself a scooter or I don't know, right? Like I like the freedom that comes with having your own wheel. And it's small enough so it doesn't really feel too cumbersome to travel with as well. Melt, I'm kind of half remembering, but I just think the non-passenger trains have priority for their schedules. Checks out. Does make sense. I get it. And again, right, if I'm doing this kind of work, if I have enough finances, that's the thing as well. I might have to do actual work and then use the proceeds from my actual work to fund doing this, right? But there's plans that can be made, so I would like to go on these little micro adventures. What they're saying is if a freight train is coming through, it has right of way over the passenger trains, meaning the passenger trains may have to wait for freight travel before they can pass through an area. Could be fun even. Or we're gonna have to wait for these freight trains for the next 50 minutes. Then I get off the train if I'm allowed to, go for a little bit of a ride, see the place, come back in time, get back on the train, right? Make the most of it. Thank you for explaining. Love is true. I bet you can put your wheel in checked luggage. You can take a look and figure it out. There's a way to get it. I'm sure you can fly the dang thing. It might have to take the battery out and carry it. Yeah, you can do that. You technically can do that, but it's really cumbersome to do so to the point where it's going to take you like an hour, maybe less than an hour, maybe like 30 minutes to like get your wheel out and get the batteries in again. And technically the wheel I have is not, is it UL or something certified? Maybe if I do want a wheel I can fly with. Hey Google, can I fly with a UL certified EUC? No, no. Even if your UL 2272 certification ensures the device meets all the safety standards expected, it does not bypass the FAA and IATA battery limits. Airplanes prohibit lithium ion batteries exceeding 160 watt hours on passenger aircrafts, where most EUCs have batteries ranging from 300 to 4,000 watt hours. Yeah, mine is going to be 1,500 watt hours. Too big! Too big of the batteries for flying with it. That's what I thought. That's kind of how I expected. How about the Amtraks? Tell me yes. It tells me technically no. I don't want to hear that. Technically no. The Amtrak officially prohibits unicycles, hoverboards, and self-balancing scooters on all trains and property. That's some bullshit. It allows UL certified e-bikes and folding e-scooters that are under 50 pounds. Yasi. They actually they actually tell you not to do it. In practice, some riders have success by disguising the wheel, putting it in a large duffel bag, and putting it in check luggage. Man, I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna scrub my brain, right? Actively, I'm editing all of that out of my brain. I'm forgetting it. It's been forgotten. What were we talking about? The battery on. Yeah, batteries. Yeah, batteries. I like batteries. Batteries can power wheels and stuff. Yeah. The sun is both blasting me. I'm bro. I need to get out of it. Thank you, dear friends, for joining me. I appreciate your presence in this space, for giving some of your time. Thank you for receiving some of mine. I appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.